So, Ammon Bundy here. I'm looking a little rough. It's the end of the day, and I got my dirty shirt on and kind of scruffy. And anyway, I wanted to clean up before I did this video, but felt if I did, I would run out of time in the day. And I felt it was important that I said a few things. Received a letter today written by Schaeffer Cox, and I wanted to ask you and present to you the question of, is it time for judicial reform, or should we just throw off the whole thing altogether? There's so many things that I relate to with Schaeffer. The things that the prosecutors did to him, the FBI and other agents did to him, federal agents primarily. They tried to do the same thing to us. They did the same thing to us. And then in the courtroom, they tried to do the same thing, which is suppress the evidence, true facts, and to create a story that was incorrect. And in Schaeffer's case, they were able to get this done. In our case, they were not. Also, what Schaeffer is going through as far as these conditions in prison, I can very closely relate to, and it truly pulls at my heart to hear these things and understand what's happening to him. When I was put in solitary confinement, which I spent a good part of 2017 in solitary confinement, I wasn't given a razor or be able to shave or wash my clothes or wash my body. And so I did this in this little 7x10 concrete box, washed my clothes in the toilet, and I pretty much just let my hair grow and my beard grow. And I got really, long hair and bushy beard. And when I got out of solitary confinement, there was several people that I had become friends with that didn't even recognize me. And I'd lost a ton of weight. I was very white. And many things happened in there that are hard for me to speak of. And so when I got this letter from Schaeffer, I completely understood it. And I want to read it to you. I got a postcard from Marilyn Hatch the other day. She said she noticed my new tough guy look. I got a chuckle out of that. Prison does sort of harden you. Maybe you may not even realize that it's happening, but it does. You are living in a combat environment. There is just no way around it. It is either man up or die. And I've seen plenty of people die. When they let me out of the CMU for a short time, the first thing I did was go out and walk the track on the yard. As I passed the guard shack with its mirrored window, I caught sight of somewhat menacing guy coming behind me. I didn't get a real good look at him, but his stance and his persona was threatening enough that I spun around to face him. I didn't want this character coming up behind me like that. But when I turned, no one was there. I looked back into the mirrored window and realized it was my own reflection. There had been no mirrors in the CMU, and I'd changed so much over the years I had been in there that I literally hadn't recognized myself. It was then that I realized that the boy they sent to prison had in fact died. What stood in his place was something different, a derivative, but not the same thing. Schaeffer Cox. What can I say to this? I know still today I fight those feelings of what they did to me. Many times thrown into solitary confinement, completely stripped and naked. feeling completely violated. At one time, they left me in solitary confinement with only my undergarments for over 7 days. Nothing to read, nothing to do, but just sit there. So I know firsthand what Schaeffer Cox is going through, and many others. And there's a tremendous amount of, examples of that I could give, showing of how injustice is and what is happening to Schaeffer and many others. Todd Engel, Greg Burleson, and again others. How unjust it is. And is not our system of law supposed to be to create justice? But yet it is not. And so I ask, why do we have it? If it's just become a system to create and enforce tyranny, then why do we have it? What good is it doing? The prison system is clearly does not work. It is not rehabilitating people, correcting people. And it costs billions and billions of taxpayers' money. But more important to any of that is, what is it doing to the individual? What is it doing to that person? How is it bettering that person? How is that person going to go back to God better than when he came? In a system like this, when you're thrown into literally a den of thieves, and many of them are in a uniform, and you are held away from your loved ones, from your life, from freedom, and you're fighting every minute trying not to become so hard that you'll take somebody else's life or your own. And that is the reality. For a while there, when I was in prison, there was a life that was lost almost every month, at least every month. And so when Schaeffer Cox says that he has seen many people die in there, that is a reality. And how do we as the American people take responsibility for this system? Because you and I both weigh the responsibility. We bear the responsibility. And this weight falls upon us because this is our system. This is the system that we've allowed. The system that supposedly we created and we authorize. And the system that we fund. And yet we are allowing this to happen. And we can't anymore. We cannot allow it to happen. We either have to throw it off or we have to correct it. And I call people to correct it. And if we can't correct it, then we throw it off. Because it is our duty to do so. Now, I did a video when I was in solitary confinement and I called out and they made a video out of it. And we'll link it to the bottom of this post because it presents solutions of what a true penal system looks like, a true justice system looks like. And it's based upon restitution to the victim, not creating jobs, government jobs, and government fees and funding, and not creating this system where the government fines. It's about victim, about the damages that occurred by a perpetrator, and it's about forcing the perpetrator to pay back the victim. And when that's done correctly, both the victim and the perpetrator are better in the end. The victim is restored, and the perpetrator has learned his lesson of what it took to restore the victim back whatever he took. And that is a system that works. That is a system that the ancient Israelites used, and it is a system that the Anglo-Saxons used, and it's a system that our nation used in the first 100 or years so, in which brought such great prosperity and freedom. And we need to go back to that. We have to go back to that. We have to cast off this wicked system that is causing so much heartache and so much pain to so many Americans, and stealing the taxpayers' money and giving nothing in return. In fact, not just giving nothing in return, giving the very opposite in which the American people are believing they are getting. And it is very simple, it is very just, and it is something that we must do. And I ask you, please do not forget these men in prison. Support them in any way you can, with your letters, with your money, with your love. Support their families. Speak out for them. Be loud for them, because they deserve it. They do not deserve to be where they're at. So many people I have met were innocent in those prisons, and I am sure that they were innocent. And many others stole $1 and retreated like a bank robber. 10, 15, 20 years for something that was so minor that there was hardly any damage. Why? Because the judges, the prosecutors, the jailers, the marshals, the officers, they all use it to fund their living off the backs of many innocent and many that should not be punished the way they're punished. So thank you for your time. And I believe that you should be motivated to do some things and to fight and be loud. And when it's time to truly push this reform, then we need to get behind it. And if we cannot get it done, then we need to cast it off and throw it away. Thank you. And may God bless you and your families.